How's it going, everyone? I am the Zan Man, coming at you a little chilly in mid-November. Now, why am I wearing a short sleeve when I'm a little cold? I don't know. But that's not important today. What is important is discussing the Spider-Verse movies. Specifically, discussing why I believe Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is better than Across the Spider-Verse. Now, just as a little bit of a background, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is hands down my favorite movie of all time. I'll go more into detail later on in this video why I do feel that way, but from what I can tell from the common consensus regarding the two movies, Into and Across, the people prefer the latter. Like if you go on IMDb, Across Spider-Verse is rated higher than Into. Same case with IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes. This is Editor Xander. You could tell that I'm Editor Xander because I'm wearing glasses. When I was going into my little introduction there, I did say IMDb twice. The first time that I said IMDb, I meant Letterboxd. I'm sorry, guys, if memory serves me well. So, I'm not here to discredit anyone's views on these movies, that would make me an asshole. I want to make this video because I feel a certain way about these movies, and I believe that one is better than the other. One is number one, the other is probably in my top 20 favorite movies of all time. I still very much like both movies, but there's a clear favorite for me, and I'll explain further in this video.
Beep, beep. Miguel, it's Peter. We got an anomaly.
Thank you, Peter. You're one of our best.
So let me go into my primary reason first as to why I prefer Into Spider-Verse over Across the Spider-Verse. And that has to do with both films' messaging. So when I think of Spider-Man, at least, I think of hope. I think when you see Spider-Man, you're supposed to think of hope. I think a clear case of that, at least in the movies, is from the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man, when Spider-Man, he's about to rib Lane out into the distance, and you have the American flag right behind him. I don't know if it's confirmed or not. I do remember someone discussing this before in a video, but the reason why they had the American flag behind Spider-Man at the end of the movie is because it came out a year after 9/11. So, with Spider-Man, he is inherently a symbol of hope. I think with Into Spider-Verse, because let's look at Miles' story, for instance. So, throughout the movie, you see Miles witness the death of Spider-Man, his universe of Spider-Man, right in front of him. That symbol of hope is now dead. And now Miles is meant to carry on that hope, that sort of burden, that responsibility. And then later on in the movie, he gets chased down by the Prowler, who he doesn't realize at the time is his uncle. He then witnesses the death of his Uncle Aaron, who is sort of like the Uncle Ben version, the Uncle Ben substitute for him. So, in that span of time, you see a lot of hardship for Miles. But even amidst all that adversity, Miles picks himself up. He proves all the other Spider people wrong by harnessing his powers, by quickly learning his powers, becoming rather adept with them, and proving everyone by becoming that symbol of hope, not only for his fellow spider people, but also for New York. He becomes the new Spider-Man for his universe. That's not an easy task. I mean, anyone, yeah, of course, anyone can wear the mask, but not everyone can handle that responsibility. And Miles does. And then let's look at Across Spider-Verse. Its messaging is more about fate and controlling your fate. That does have to an extent, like, some level of hope to it, you know? Like, if you're able to control your fate, then you're being hopeful that you can change the course of destiny, you know? With Miles, he's supposed to lose his father as well. Now, I have a bit of a problem with that. I've always had a problem with that. Because Miles already lost his Uncle Ben figure, you know? So, does he need to lose another important figure in his life? And also, with the canon event, that spider that bit Miles, that was supposed to bite another version of him. That was supposed to bite another universe's version of him. And in that universe, Jeff, Miles' father, is dead. So, when you really think about it, the canon events happened. He lost his father. Not that Miles, but Miles Prowler, that version of him. So, in terms of messaging, I feel like the message of Into the Spider-Verse, one, works better and is more concrete. But also, two, I think the messaging is told better in Into the Spider-Verse as well. So let me now get into my second point of this whole argument that I'm making. And that has to do with characters. So I got the little Lego figures here to help us out here. So with Into Spider-Verse, I feel like the character development is better. And let me explain. So with Into Spider-Verse, let's look at like the core three. Miles has to learn to care for others. Gwen has to learn to trust others. And Peter B. Parker, he has to find his purpose. Peter B. Parker, let's start with him. In his universe, he's lost everything. He's the B Parker. He's not the A Parker, he's B. He loses the love of his life in MJ and Mary Jane. He just gives up. He doesn't want to continue fighting. He would rather sit and mope in the bathtub or eat pizza, which is what he was doing before he got transported to Miles' universe. And then, when he meets Miles, he realizes that he can train him and mentor him. So he finds a purpose. Yes, Peter B. Parker, because he's the B. Parker, he's not great at his job, sure, but he does do his best, you know? And he's proud of Miles' accomplishments throughout the movie. In Across Spider-Verse, he doesn't really have a character. All he is pretty much like a comic relief character. And we already have like a few comic relief characters. We have Spider-Man India. We got Peter B. Parker. We got all the cameo Glupshido Spider-Men who show up in the movie. I'm looking at him. He's a cool design, you know, like Cowboy Spider-Man. That's a cool idea. But like, he shows up in one scene. It's for a little bit of a gag. Gone. And that's with so many Spider-Man in the movie. Spider-Man Cat, one scene, gone. Werewolf Spider-Man, one scene, gone. Therapy Spider-Man, one scene, gone. Just for laughs, you know. There's too many cameo like Spider-Man is like one critique that I have with the characters. Going back on track, Gwen in Into the Spider-Verse, she has to learn to trust others. Her backstory isn't really explained that much in Into the Spider-Verse. You know, like you get like the little comic exposition that all the other characters get, but otherwise, her story is pretty mysterious, you know. And I will give credit to Across Spider-Verse. They do an excellent job at explaining why she does what she does and why she's the person that she is. They do a great job of that. So you get to see why she has to learn to trust others. But with Into Spider-Verse, you see that play out. You see her, like you see the cogs going in motion, you know? Like you see her learn in real time, oh, you know, I gotta trust others. In order to get back to my universe and to find relationships again with other people, I need to trust these people. And she finds out a lot of Miles. Let's talk about Miles now. He has to learn the importance of responsibility and caring for others. He cares deeply about Uncle Aaron. Yes, I concede to that point. But I don't know, he feels a little selfish in the movie, if that makes sense. Like, he kind of blows off his dad a few times. At school, he feels a little arrogant. He kind of doesn't try that hard because he doesn't want to be where he is at Vision Academy. You know, he wants to do his own thing. And with the introduction of characters like Peter B. Parker and Gwen Stacy, he realizes that, oh, I need to face accountability and I have to realize, like, hey, there's more to this world than just myself. There's this whole city. There's whole other dimensions. I gotta learn to care for other people too. And I just love that story. I love that development. Across Spider-Verse, they do a pretty good job as well. But I don't think it's as strong of a development as the first one, as Into the Spider-Verse. I don't know. It's just like, I don't think his story is as strong. It just feels like a lot of people are against him. A lot of people are against the person behind the mask. You know? Just because they don't think that the person behind the mask is doing enough. So I don't know. I feel like the story is better in Into the Spider-Verse. I feel like it's more well-rounded. I got Miguel O'Hara here too. I got Spider-Man 2099. His story's good, you know, in Across Spider-Verse. I don't think it's mind-blowing. I feel like it's been told a fair amount, you know, like, oh, the villain, he loses everything. So now he's doing everything he can to prevent another huge mistake to happen that costs other people. It makes him a little bit sympathetic in that regard, but also because his actions are so violent and he's so aggressive that you don't want to root for him. You don't root for him at all, actually. I feel like, at least for me. I don't know, he's a detestable character, but you understand why he's a detestable character. You know, I got nothing wrong with Mr. Spider-Man 29 and his character development, but yeah, I just like the story more of the story of the characters more in Into the Spider-Verse. What more can I say? So let me now get into my third and final big point. You know, I could go on and nitpick, you know, but I think just having like three strong arguments to explain my point, I think that's enough, especially with how long each one of my points are. So let me go into the story of Into and Across Spider-Verse. With Into the Spider-Verse, I feel like it's a tighter, more focused story. You're dealing with less characters, so inherently you're going to have less to do. So, story of Into the Spider-Verse, got Miles Morales. He witnesses the death of his universe's Spider-Man. He gets bit by a radioactive spider from another universe. All of a sudden, other spider people from different dimensions show up. They all learn to work together, all while Miles has to learn to develop his abilities and learn to become Spider-Man. And at the end of the movie, they all reconcile, they all kind of fulfill the arcs in a way, and they defeat Kingpin. That's pretty much it. You know, not much else to say with the story. With Across Spider-Verse, it's a little bit more messy, especially because it's part one of a two-part story. The movie ends on cliffhanger, so we have to wait apparently 2 years, but I don't know. It's been delayed so many times now that I don't know when Beyond the Spider-Verse will come out. Maybe in 2 years. Maybe someone's watching this video and it's like, oh, Xander, Beyond the Spider-Verse came out. What'd you think? Maybe that would be the result in 2 years' time. But with Across Spider-Verse, it starts with more exposition for Gwen Stacy, and then we move on over to Miles. We see where Miles has been in the last few years since the events of the first movie. We get introduced to the villain, the Spot, who has previous history with Miles. The Spot goes on this interdimensional tirade. Gwen and other spider people, they reveal to Miles, who's been trying to find a solution to reunite with them. They reveal themselves. They show Miles to this interdimensional spider person society. And then Miles has to learn the hard truth that he has to lose another person to become Spider-Man. That's going to be his fate. And then he gets into a clash with the other spider people, especially Miguel O'Hara there. He escapes. He goes to the original dimension where the radioactive spider was. He gets kidnapped by that universe's Miles, who's the Prowler. And Gwen reunites with other spider people, particularly one from the previous movie, to go and find Miles before Miles loses his father. That's a lot, you know? We're dealing with a lot there. And that's not to mention all the Spider-Man cameos. That's not to mention Miles' relationship with his parents, which is more fleshed out in the Across Spider-Verse. That's another thing that I like about Across Spider-Verse. You know, they flesh out Miles' relationship with his parents. I really like that. But yeah, it's just like there's a lot going on. With Into the Spider-Verse, you know, you see the story, plays out, boom. Across Spider-Verse, you have to wait for another movie. So yeah, I just prefer the shorter, more concise story. I like that you can just have it as its own standalone movie, which it was for 5 years. I think that works better. Well, now we've reached the conclusion of this video, so let me put these fellas back in their place. Let me grab good old faithful, the gingerbread AT-AT, and let's leave with some closing remarks, shall we? I very much like Across the Spider-Verse. I waited, as with anyone else, 5, maybe 4.5 years for that movie. I was pumped. I was so excited. And after I saw it, I was so happy. I loved it. I still love it. I saw it 3 times in a span of 2 days. And one of those showings that I went to see Across Spider-Verse, I went down to the city and saw it in 4DX. That's how excited I was to see it. And that was my second time, because I saw it the previous day on the Thursday showings by myself before work. I was so excited. And I loved it. I was questioning at the time whether I preferred Across Spider-Verse over Into Spider-Verse. But I thought more about it. And I realized there are reasons why I prefer Into Spider-Verse. And especially now that it has been my favorite movie for 5 years. Maybe even longer at this point, honestly. I have nostalgia for it. And nostalgia is a strong, addictive drug. Yeah. I don't know. It's going to be hard for any other movie to ever top Into Spider-Verse for me, just because of how much it means to me. Across Spider-Verse is still a very good movie. I don't know if I want to use the word great. It's a very, very good movie. There's a lot that was done right with it. I went a little bit into detail in this review. Gwen's arc, Gwen's exposition, incredible. Miles's relationship with his dad and his mom fleshing out, great. All the universes that we saw, that was so interesting. The villain of Spots and Spider-Man 2099, pretty good villains. There's a lot to like in Across Spider-Verse still. But I just think, given my own personal opinion and my own experiences with these movies, Into Spider-Verse will always be better, in my opinion. That's not to discredit anyone else's opinion, like, probably more than 50% of people prefer Across Spider-Verse, excuse me. And I'm cool with that, But I just wanted to provide my own insights as someone whose favorite film is Into Spider-Verse. I hope you all have a great day. I hope you guys find some hope with your own lives through Spider-Man, maybe. Have a good day. Peace out. So, let's bring out some Spider-Men, Spider-Man. 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 And Spider-Woman.